Now that's what you call a defensive clinic, as the Panthers shut out the Devils Thursday night in Sunrise.
You're Locked On Panthers, your daily podcast on the Florida Panthers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into this Friday, November 21st edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day on North America's #1 sports podcasting network. Shout out to the everydayers who come back here and get your daily Florida Panthers fix. My name is Armando Velez, the host of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, and joining me on today's edition of the show is Nich Fairbanks for another edition of Fairbanks Friday, as the Florida Panthers defeated the New Jersey Devils by a final score of 1-0 in Sunrise, and it was a goal from Sam Reinhart just a little more than halfway through the first period, and that's all the Panthers needed to shut out the New Jersey Devils 1-0. And Nick, what an outstanding game. And also the fact that the Panthers were feeding off the energy from the pregame ceremony, from Jeff Petry getting the silver stick after completing his 1,000th game on Monday, and his children there, each child wearing a jersey from his previous stops before he signed with the Panthers, and then Jack Devine making his NHL debut, taking his rookie lap, and the Panthers putting on a defensive clinic, keeping Bobrovsky clean for at least for the most part. But then Bobrovsky saving his best for last and Bobrovsky getting his 51st shutout of his career. But man, this is so much better as far as what you like to see defensively from this Panthers team compared to what we saw on Monday night.
Most definitely. I mean, I think we were talking about it pregame or pre-show that, Bobrovsky gave up 5 goals and now he gave up none. So his goals against average the last 2 games is 2.5. And you're like, oh, I'll take that. But you're like, how'd you get it though?
Yeah.
So, the big thing here is that the Panthers can show, one, that they can score, and secondly, that they can come back to their identity and play shutdown defense.
Mm-hmm.
The Devils were not at all well inclined to actually attack the neutral zone. The Panthers were standing them up very well. And, unfortunately, I think the Devils were a benefit of probably 2 calls that probably shouldn't have been called against the Panthers. But you know what? The Panthers did exactly what they needed to do. And it was their leader of the season, besides Brad Marsh and, Reinhart, doing what I like to call his signature move, where he puts the puck underneath the defenseman's stick and then snaps it right over the goaltender's shoulder. And he went short side this time. So, don't remind Stuart Skinner that either. So, but yeah, it shows that this team still is sticking to their identity, like I said. And, it was a well-deserved win and a well-deserved shutout for Sergei, because he's had a great start to the season. Is actually one of the reasons why the Panthers are where they are right now, and that's treading water.
Yeah, no doubt, and nice poke by Gustav Forsling to get it to Sam Reinhart, and look, fighting off that check from Luke Hughes to get it to the short side, beating Jake Allen, who struggled against the Panthers. The Script Sports broadcast did bring up that he's one of the worst goalies in the league as far as goals against that the Panthers have faced. So, but the fact that the Panthers were able to get one, that was just enough. And for both teams here, not just the Panthers, the high danger chances did not come often, as there was not really a lot of those second chances. The Panthers were really missing the net a lot during the first period. I mean, after the first, the shot attempts at 5-on-5 were 21-16 Panthers, but not a lot of them actually landed, only 9 of them. So, but also the New Jersey Devils having a hard time connecting when it came to breaking out of their own end and missing and then forcing a lot of icings, which had the Panthers set up more of the necessary personnel that they needed. But also, there's a lot of stretches in this game that there weren't a lot of whistles neither. So there weren't a lot of face-offs in this game. Usually when you see 2 teams battling, you see maybe around the high 20s, 30s when it comes to the amount of face-offs won, but it was 22-27 as far as that category as well. So the Panthers needed to rely on getting crisp line changes, and the fact that they were able to get those line changes and not allow the breakaway opportunities from New Jersey, I think that's a really truly impressive part of this game as well.
Exactly. And, the fact that, New Jersey was mostly healthy. I mean, Jack Hughes and Eetu Luosterainen unfortunately met at the same restaurant apparently, and or the same barbecue, and hurt each other. So, no, I just think that the Panthers are more seasoned in what they want to be, and what their identity is. And I bring that up every show because it's been that way since Maurice has been here, and the players have really taken control of that. Where you have these other teams that like New Jersey, who are trying to become a winning franchise again, and they have the young talent to do it, but they just can't put it together. And they may be able to put it together in the first start of the season, but the rest of the season they just can't. So Florida has been the model franchise for that, and even with missing their top two stars, the guys who you expect to step up are stepping up right now. So I really don't really have anything more to go off of that other than it's just they're doing what they need to.
No doubt. And listen, the fact that the Panthers were able to truly set the tone, especially with their physicality, I thought Mackie Samoskevich especially was one who set the tone there, playing on that top line with Anton Lundell and Brad Marchand. He laid a big hit on Yogi Siegenthaler in their D zone in the first period, and then a big puck separation later on in the second period that set up an actual a pretty good scoring chance for Anton Lundell. Unfortunately, he couldn't poke it back past Jake Allen. And listen, Jack Devine making his debut for the Panthers here. I didn't think although it was under 9 minutes of ice time, he wasn't trying to do too much. He was getting in on the forecheck. He was actually very patient, especially there was this one opportunity where he was waiting for a line change to happen and to hit the trailer from the half wall as well. That was the Verhaeghe line that was coming on right before his line was at the end of his shift as well. I thought that he also truly set a tone in just his patience level and not trying to do too much.
No, and I would call this a successful debut. I mean, he didn't score, but in my opinion, for somebody who's coming in as their first game, I think he definitely made an impact, and he played into what exactly Florida wanted. He did disrupt New Jersey many times and winning some battles down low, which sometimes, some guys coming in who are younger can't do that, or just will not do that because it's just not in their DNA yet. And then, you talk about the vision that he has, the patience and the pass that he gave Verhaeghe. I mean, I thought that might have been Brad Marchand doing that, because he's, the king of being able to slow things down, turn it around, and hit the trailer. So it's good to see that he's got that vision, he's got the patience, and I think it'll work out very well for him. And, I hope that we get to see more of him, because he actually had a few scoring chances. I just, you can tell that he's got the tools there. Now, is he going to be able to do it repeatedly and over a duration of time?
No doubt. And also he was able to track his own a rebound after a nice give and go opportunity between him and Sam Bennett there as well, following it, and then also being able to keep the puck alive in the New Jersey Devils zone. But also, listen, the fact that Bobrovsky wasn't necessarily busy as well, and the fact that he saved his best for last towards the end, where it was just a good amount of faceoffs won. Yeah, I mentioned not a lot of them, but it was really in the Devils' direction as far as the wins. But the battles up front from Meier setting up Dawson Mercer and then landing right in the chest, the fact that there wasn't a lot of those rebound opportunities towards the end, and then later on, Jesper Bratt from the half wall going up, throwing it there, and no rebound. That's also what helped with the Panthers and how they were able to just not allow the opportunities for New Jersey. The crease was clean. The quick outs were there. The Panthers didn't spend a lot of time once they got the puck on their sticks in the D zone. And also, Timo Meier got 8 shots on goal last game. He only got 1. Dawson Mercer is the center on his line. He's mostly a winger, and Dawson Mercer going to center. That was also a matter of the Panthers reading that from the last go round to make sure that he wasn't getting that time and space.
No, and that's the nice thing is that with New Jersey being down Jack Hughes, that allowed them to focus in on the other parts of New Jersey's offense, and they smothered them. I mean, I think their best offensive forward tonight was honestly probably Jesper Bratt. I felt like he carried the play for them, but even at that, I mean, his plays were one and done. The defense did a really good job keeping him to the outside, and then if he ever did throw a puck towards the net, Bob would save it, and it would be cleared out relatively quickly. So if you have that type of play or that structure to stop the team like that, I mean, Dougie Hamilton maybe had one good chance, and after that, he was really a non-factor, and he's supposed to be like their number one defenseman / power play quarterback, whatever you want to call him. And, again, just not a lot going on in that department. So Florida did a great job not only, condensing what New Jersey was trying to do, but also made sure that Bob was clean the whole time.
Yeah, Hamilton had 4 shots in the first 6 minutes and nothing else after that. So the Panthers were able to not allow much from him after that. But we're going to transition to segment number 2, where we're going to discuss more of our 3 stars of the game and the moment where we knew the game was won. We'll discuss that next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch. And let's be honest, most of us can't even name our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean even leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch's visual dashboards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where my money is going and how to make it work harder for me. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off of your first year. That's monarch.com with code LOCKEDONNHL for half off of your first year. Segment number 2 here on this Friday, November 21st edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. Armando Velez here with Nich Fairbanks on another edition of Fairbanks Friday. Well, it's a Panthers win, which means we are going to be discussing our 3 stars of the game and the moment where we knew the game was won. And number 3 star for me, I'm going to go with AJ Greer. I thought he was getting in front of pucks, blocking shots, using his speed, working well with that Sam Bennett line, and how he worked well, setting up the trailers as well, and being once the puck got loosed after they were met at the blue line and it was trickling in the neutral zone, he was there to use his edges to get around and find those pucks to keep them in the Devils' end. He's my number 3 star. Number 2 star, got to go with Sam Reinhart on that filth, like we mentioned earlier on that. So Sam Reinhart, 9th goal in his last 12 games. So he is on an absolute heater. Around this time, like I mentioned, is when Sam Reinhart was going on his heater in 24-25. In 23-24, that stretch run was mostly in January for him, but it's coming early for Sam Reinhart for number 2 star. And then number 1 star, Sergei Bobrovsky, 31 of 31, 51st shutout of his career, and climbing up the ladder as far as the NHL goalie wins list. And for Bob right now, he's still a little bit away from the next milestone as far as win, passing Terry Sawchuk. He still needs 6 more wins in order to pass Sawchuk. So he's getting there slowly but surely. So number 1 star, Sergei Bobrovsky.
So my 3 stars for tonight's game, I think number 3 is going to be Mackie Samoskevich. Not only is he, being, a different type of player, and I understand he's not scoring, he's still getting chances. He did put that hit on Siegenthaler, and, I thought he definitely, I guess he really did earn to get on that line with Marchand and Lundell with Luosterainen out, but he didn't look out of place. He looked like he was definitely a factor, and, I just can't wait for the goals to start going in for him, but he had a very solid game. Second star, I am going to go with Bob. I'm not going to go with the first star for that because he made his best at the end, like you say, made all those saves to ensure the win. But I think for him, I'm happy that he got the shutout because usually when he doesn't see a lot of action, bad things tend to happen and he loses interest. So I'm glad that he was able to keep his focus on the game. And then number one, I am going to go with Sam Reinhart. I think, as I said in the last segment, he is stepping up when he needs to. He is this team's leader. And we're also seeing what he is without Alexander Barkov this season. A lot of people, were saying that, he's, feeding off of Barkov or, he's getting a lot of these points or these goals because he's on Barkov's line. Well, he's showing everybody right now that he is a clear cut, he's a first line winger. And there's no doubt that one, he should probably be in the talk of, excuse me, what's the award here for the best defensive forward? I can't believe I'm blanking. Yeah, he's been in the Selke talk for the last couple of years, and to see what he's doing right now with the team being so shorthanded, I think he needs to be up for consideration of it already. So hope he keeps it going, but if not, I do have faith that the rest of the team will be able to step up and back him up.
No doubt. Guys like Nick Suzuki, Shane Pinto probably have something to say probably about that when it comes to their defensive game. So it's going to be a big challenge for those. I mean, Ante Kopitar obviously is going to be in the conversation as well. But hey, Sam Reinhart finishing second last year, if it were for his teammate and the reputation, who knows? Maybe he might have actually gotten more votes there. But I actually calculated the Panthers PDO actually for tonight based on the fact that it was a wild high event hockey game on Monday, and the save percentage for Sergei Bobrovsky was out of whack. At posting a 6.67 there, but then tonight getting the shutout. But for the Panthers, it was 104 as their PDO, so that works in their favor as their PDO throughout the season is right now just over 99% for them combined with the shooting percentage and save percentage there. So this helps in the positive direction for the Panthers, but also Mackie Samoskevich, his point pace this season is actually slightly better than where he was at last season. Let's not forget, he dealt with the injury right before the Four Nations break, and then as soon as the Four Nations break ended, he gets injured right away as well. It was a lower body injury, upper body injury, and then he had that little stint where he had to be a paper transaction when Sergei Bobrovsky had his second kid, so he had to miss more games. So but now at a little bit of a higher pace there, although he didn't get a point tonight, we still see the little habits that he's putting there as far as the physicality, separating the puck, finding the open teammate, and just not turning the puck over as well. And speaking of, that's really what was the thing for New Jersey on the night, as the Panthers were just swarming them in the neutral zone. So that really was the takeaway for me as far as what the Panthers were doing well. So the moment where we knew the game was won, for me, I had so much confidence after the Panthers' one and only power play of the night that they were going to win, because that power play, not going to lie, was pretty discouraging on their scoring chances. But after that, the fourth line, Cunnin, Devine, Noah Gregor, the fact that they were to put so much pressure in the offensive zone, and they didn't allow New Jersey to get any momentum after they killed it, I said they're not going to find a way to get past Sergei Bobrovsky here. Although they did get those chances, like we mentioned earlier. I thought shortly after that power play for the Panthers, and the fact that they kept it away from their D zone, that was when I thought they won.
So mine wasn't at a particular part in the actual physical game, like with 19 minutes left, 17 minutes left. It wasn't anything like that. It was actually the intermission between the second and third period, and Script Sports was nice enough to put up the record. Florida, when it's a 1-goal game, and they are 5-1, and now they are 6-0-1. So this is a repetitive storyline that the Panthers when they are up after 2 periods, they are going to either shut you down, or if you do end up scoring, they're going to end up just one-upping you and making sure that they end up winning. And I think even with the injuries that they're dealing with, that they still are capable of doing that. So as soon as I saw that stat, I did relax a little bit. I had a few cookies, I had a glass of milk. It was really solid.
Yeah, it helps with the sleep quality as far as getting that in your system right before, it is late at night here on the East Coast, Central Time for you, 9:44 over there in Minnesota. But also the fact that the Panthers now are 8-1-0 when they score first. They also provided that stat, the fact that what the Panthers do, and to think most of these games for the Panthers, we are right now. The Panthers just completed game number 20. Hold on. The Panthers just completed game number 20. Yes, and they've only scored first in 9 of them, less than half.
Mm-hmm.
So just goes to show the importance of scoring first, and the fact that it's tilted in that direction for as far as the winning percentage. Also important for the Panthers there. And also, you mentioned between the second and third period. Let's not forget, the Devils had a power play, although it was 24 seconds left there. And the fact that Evan Rodriguez on Nico Hischier after taking a shot after the buzzer, the Panthers, the Devils, couldn't even gain the zone.
Nope.
to start that third period as well. So that's also the great thing about what the Panthers were able to do on the night. Is like, okay, we're going to kill this penalty and get back to 5-on-5, which the Panthers, we know are with their system are one of the best 5-on-5 teams in the league. Whenever, as far as the control and being able to get in on the forecheck as well. So that's not the moment where I knew the game was won, but that was also a very important stretch of this hockey game as well, in my opinion. But let's transition over to segment number 3, where we are going to discuss the Panthers' next game, as they will be playing in a Stanley Cup Final rematch against those Edmonton Oilers. We'll discuss all of that next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Rougiette. And let's be real, making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. Or it happens to everyone else sometimes. But when it comes to your performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. That's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. It prescribed your treatment ships discreetly to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. Visit rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL to get 15% off of your first order. That's rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNHL so they know we sent you. Rougiette, stop making excuses and start making moves. Also, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Segment 3 here on this Friday, November 21st edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on a Friday, as the Panthers defeated the Devils by a final score of 1-0. Armando Velez once again here with Nich Fairbanks. And Panthers, a Stanley Cup Final rematch on Saturday night against the Edmonton Oilers. By the way, for those people who are out of the region, this game will be on NHL Network, so plan accordingly when it comes to this game, however you may need to for this. But Nick, Edmonton is going to be on the end of a 7-game road trip. This is a really long road trip for them, and only 2 wins out of the first 6 games. They, just like the Panthers, they had a 1-0 lead really late, except they couldn't hang on to this one as they played in Tampa Bay tonight. Nick Paul made his season debut, actually, and he scored with less than 5 minutes left, and then Jake Gensel ended it in overtime for Edmonton to only get 1 point there. But it's crazy because the Edmonton Oilers have lost so much over the last 2 Stanley Cup runs, and it's especially showing this season. I mean, Connor Brown signed with the Devils. They couldn't have the money to keep a gritty guy like a Corey Perry there as well. They had to clear the cap for Victor Arvidsson, who they traded to Boston. Zach Hyman is recently back in the lineup, but that also they also had to fit that under their cap, putting Troy Stetcher on waivers, and then their newly required trade piece in Ike Howard. They had to send him down to the AHL to fit Zach Hyman, and obviously he was missed in the Stanley Cup Final there for Edmonton. It brings that physicality, brings that net front presence, as he scored 57 goals, just like Sam Reinhart just a few years ago. But this Oilers team, a third straight season with rough starts, and how many times can they go through this of playing this consistent game of catch up? I mean, we've seen it with the Panthers under the Bob Bugner years of playing catch up, but except the Panthers didn't make the final or even made the playoffs in either of those years, being the 96 points back in 2018. But oh my goodness, it's just there has to be some type of panic in Edmonton.
It kind of makes you wonder why Connor McDavid decided to sign his short-term deal, or maybe it explains why he signed his short-term deal. I mean,
the latter.
I think they have a lot of pieces that are probably tired, and they're just trying to get back to, their normal state of play. I mean, you just said they had Zach Hyman back, and he's been out for 6-7 months with that injury from the Western Conference Final. So it's going to take some time for him to get there, but they still have not addressed the number one issue on that team: goaltending. I don't care what it is. If you know that is your weak point, you will make something happen. And it almost seems like Stuart Skinner, whenever that starts, floating in the air, he starts playing really, really well, and he steals games for them. Maybe then the organization doesn't think they need to move on and that he'll be the guy, but how many more times does, this idea have to stab them in the back before they actually do something? I mean, they were in on Josh Gibson, which Detroit, came in and slid in and got him. You have to wonder what's going to happen in Nashville, but, I don't think that they've done enough to change who they are in order to be the team that takes the next step. Outside of goaltending and defense, they're the exact same team as we've seen the last couple of years. And if I'm an Oiler fan right now, I have to be incredibly frustrated with what's been going on.
Mm-hmm. No doubt, and understandably so. And the fact that the bill has come due with having to pay Evan Bouchard, which he made over $10 million in his last deal. I know he's not the best defensively. Go back to that Reinhart goal from Game 6. You'll definitely, if you're not convinced, look at that play. But the fact that he signed that deal, it's like, hey, it's kind of like a little bit of an ultimatum. Build the team around me. Give me better defensemen. Give me better goaltending. Which, I mean, one of two guys. There's two guys that I'm thinking that Stan Bowman could trade for in the future. Either Ilya Sorokin from the New York Islanders, although the Islanders the vibes are so much better now, especially with Matthew Schaefer there, and the fact that they fight for this kid every time there's a rough hit, they're coming to his defense. But the second one, this one's probably less of a surprise. UC Saros, based on the start that Nashville has had for a second consecutive season. So the fact that space has been created and he's not making $18 million, because if he made $18 million, then people are going to say, hey, Connor, if you want to build a championship team around you with Draisaitl making 14 and Bouchard making 10, why are you taking this big deal? So the short term is a great reason why, because he's going to get possibly $18 million in a couple of years. He's going to reset the market over Kirill Kaprizov in just a few after that. So this is going to be it. And it might not be it. It might be it even earlier after the second year of the 3 years left, because are you really going to go in that final year without an extension? And then the questions that the media are going to be asking and throwing at him about, oh, what's going to be happening next about a possible extension. But they just don't have they just don't have the pieces there defensively. Brett Kulak, here's the stat that Nick Zararis of Locked On Oilers provided. Brett Kulak, 0-15, 0 goals for, 15 goals against at 5-on-5. When McDavid and Draisaitl are not on the ice together, 8 goals for, 27 goals against. And when they get down early, you go back to old reliable of putting them together, and that doesn't create so much balance with the bottom 9 of that forward group neither. And also, you mentioned the number one problem that they have, goaltending. Their team save percentage, Nick, is .857. That the league average is .897. That's still to what I know from of the NHL, from what I've watched, that's still not great in my opinion. But .857, that's rough.
So not only is Draisaitl getting paid more than McDavid, McDavid's making what, 12.5, I think, for his extension. They're paying Bouchard 10.5, and then you have Darnell Nurse who's making 9.5. To me, it's not good decision making. You know, you're signing people, you know, with the thought that they were going to be better and that they're going to grow with this team. Well, I think they've pretty much shown who they are. Yeah. And fortunately, you're not going to be able to move off those contracts unless you're going to eat a lot of it, or, you know, like something happened between Chicago and Florida last year. You know, I think Florida was basically just looking to move Spencer Knight. And in order to do that, they had to take on something or a contract back from Chicago, and they actually got Chicago to eat some of it. Now it's a great looking contract, but who's going to touch, you know, Kane, or I'm sorry, not Kane, who's going to touch either of those defensemen with those contracts? So, you know, they want to build around McDavid. They're not doing it the right way. And, you know, can't really feel sorry for them. I mean, they've done everything they can. And unfortunately, I think previous management just didn't do things the right way. And now, you know, as you said, you know, the payment's coming, and who knows if they're even going to, you know, make it out of the first, second, or even third round this season.
I think they missed their window. Hey, as Panther fans and people who observe these teams and fans, I mean, we're happy about the success. And if it's not the Florida Panthers that Connor McDavid is facing against, I want him to win the Stanley Cup. But looking at Darnell Nurse's contract, 4 years left on it, and then signing bonuses each of $6 million the next 4 years as well. So you can't buy it out. No move clause throughout the whole contract as well. So that's also the cap is going to go up, and that's going to be less of a percentage of it. But that's really one that really truly holds them back as well, as far as what you're building around there. So you're going to have to bet on these on cheaper talent as far as to get you through. Like we mentioned, although Isaac Howard is not part of the group right now, he was sent down. Matthew Savoie hasn't been the guy who to help really get that goal scoring that they shipped out from Corey Perry and company, from the guys that they've traded. Although Evander Kane hasn't necessarily been great in Vancouver, so maybe that was also a problem that they got rid of on their roster. But both the goaltenders are going to be UFAs this offseason. So maybe first year of that extension, and 2 years left overall. Maybe that's the move. That's the time where the management for Edmonton is actually going to try to find a way. But hey, if you could find a way to once again limit the speed, like we've seen so many times with those matchups, getting Gustav Forsling, especially when McDavid is on, they're going to find a way to win. And hey, the vibes are not good. The Panthers are going in the right direction. Thankfully, they went from 8th in the East all the way to hold on. They went all the way to just 1 point out of the wild card spot. So although there's still quite a big cluster, but look at all the teams right now for the Panthers. They have double the regulation wins over Montreal. Philadelphia only has 4 regulation wins to the Panthers 10. Columbus 6. So the Panthers are finding a way to win these games. And the loser point is it for these other teams is really truly why it's such a cluster. I saw a stat: 28% of games this season are going to overtime. That's why. And Matthew Tkachuk, in his podcast, Wingmen, the very first episode, he said he wants the 3-2-1 point system.
Yep.
So So the fans want it. This podcast is a big deal as far as like an active player doing it.
Yep.
Commissioner Bettman, listen to a star player that's saying this.
It might be one of his final acts as commissioner, because I know that date is coming due, and the NHL will have to choose who they want to lead their owners and everything in the short term. But you talk about the standings and how everybody's like bunched up like within a point or two. Well, this win puts Florida in the top 3 of the Atlantic Division, behind Boston, surprisingly, which they're going to fall back down to earth, and the Detroit Red Wings, who've actually been hot and cold, but I think they're starting to find their way a little bit, except for tonight, where I think they lost 5 or 6-0 to those Islanders that you spoke about. So Florida's doing exactly what they need to do. They're in the playoff picture. They're 3rd in the division, and if they can just keep this up for a few more weeks, look out. And
well, 1 point behind the division, but they have 2 games in hand on Boston, so with 1 point behind. So
I like it even better. You made it sound better, so I appreciate that.
But Gary Bettman won't do that, because the loser point helps general managers make it look like they're doing a better job than they actually are doing. So I don't see it happening as far as that. But Nick, I want to thank you so much for joining me on another edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Tell everybody where they can follow you online, my friend.
You guys can follow me on X at Prudentia0. Thank you again, Armando, for having me on, and I'm looking forward to another wonderful show next week.
Awesome. Thank you so much, my friend, and I'll see you very soon. And if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast to be notified every single time the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast jumps into your podcast feed. Don't forget to also subscribe to the other shows on the Locked On NHL Network, including Locked On NHL, Locked On Fantasy Hockey, Flip Livingstone and Stu Roden, and Locked On NHL Prospects. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. So I'm Armando Velez with Nich Fairbanks. And you've been listening to Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We're your team every day.